7:15 in the morning, and I've just climbed to the top of Castel Dinnesbrand, and I'm buggered. So it's the Himalayas next week. Oh dear, dear, dear. Why did I ever agree to it? It was my idea in the first place. Only got myself to blame. Oh well. Over there is Kadaidris. I'm going to climb it tomorrow for practice. Practice. I'll be dead by the end of the week. Kadaidris, at 874 metres, is not one of the highest mountains in Snowdonia, but what it lacks in height, it makes up for by its sheer viciousness. Snowdon itself is a walk in the park compared with this forbidding pile of rock. Notorious for low cloud and steep, relentless tracks, it seems entirely appropriate to make a little expedition up it in preparation for our Himalayan jaunt. When the view can be had at all from the summit, it is rumoured that the coast of Ireland can be seen, but mostly one must put up with a view of Barmouth. There are no direct flights to Kathmandu from London, so one must go on a detour to the Gulf of Arabia and there change places after a sleepless night, and thereby adding several thousand miles to the journey. Setting out on a Sunday afternoon from London, we were to arrive in Kathmandu on the Monday night, and judging from the footwear being worn in the passenger lounge, we were not going to be alone. Kathmandu came as a bit of a shock. Well, we climbed Kadaidris. Buggered. Soaked. Took 9 hours to do a 6-hour walk. And now, after 36 hours without sleep, we're in the Hotel Mountain in Kathmandu. And I really think it's the most sordid place I've ever seen in my life. Gonna survive, aren't we, James? We call the blessings of the Holy Saint Imodium to protect us throughout this. In the medieval heart of Kathmandu, the two worlds of Nepal collide. Swamis, beggars, pestilent guides, temples and religious devotion, overflowing sewers and dodgy electrical installations. The local religion is a comfortable mix of Hinduism and Buddhism, neither of which seems to be unduly concerned with the squalid poverty which is the lot of the underclasses. A commercial Swami, with the trident of Shiva on his forehead and his municipal begging permit round his neck. Only the truly picturesque need apply. Kathmandu is the second most smog-ridden city in the world. The Fut-Fut taxis run on an entirely illegal mixture of kerosene and petrol, filling the valley with a foul-smelling smog and causing an infinite variety of respiratory diseases. Our time to escape to the mountains came, and off we went to the airport to get a plane to Lukla, the second most dangerous airstrip in the world. Ours was to be a twin-engined Otter run by Yeti Airlines. It didn't feel entirely safe, but Western standards cannot be applied to everything.
And a small passenger plane made a crash landing today in Nepal's Everest region. 18 people are dead, mostly German tourists. Officials say that a Yeti Airlines plane crashed at Luka Airport while it was landing. The aircraft was a twin Otter carrying 16 passengers and 3 crew. One crew member did survive the crash. Officials say it might have crashed after the plane hit a mountaintop as it was coming into landing. About a dozen private airlines operate on Nepal.
Safely landed at Lukla and prayers of thanksgiving concluded, we met our Sherpas at the Hotel Himalaya. This began to feel like an expedition. And so it was. Fad King, our first night stop, was where the reality of the situation became apparent. We were destined never to see a flush lavatory until we returned to Kathmandu. We also discovered curried potatoes and spam fritters for the first time. The two were irreconcilable. Other realities also became apparent. We were sharing the path with a dreadful breed of unruly cows, or at least a cross between a cow and a yak, who don't know how to stop, bolt frequently, are generally ill-tempered, and smell something awful. The Himalayan jockey. Brave the man who stands in their way. The valley was getting narrower and steeper, and the ups and downs were becoming more so. The threat of severe dehydration was never too far distant. We were walking about 12 miles a day, but it felt bum and thigh numbingly steep at times. I was beginning to wish I'd booked a fortnight in Venice instead. The river had to be crossed by swinging rope bridges, and as we went further, the bridges got higher and the swing got more pronounced. The daddy of them all was at Lords at Dobham. But shut your eyes, sing the Welsh national anthem, bang the rails with your licky sticks, and you might make it. So, after another 600 meters climbing, Namche Bazaar came into sight, and what a sight it was. Mostly buried in swirling clouds or looking down on them. We had landed at Lukla at 2,886 meters, descended to the Dud Kosi at 2,500 meters, and were now up to 3,450 meters. From here onwards, if you were unlucky, mountain sickness could set in. We were to spend 2 days in Namche Bazaar to mitigate the effects and prepare for the next stage. This is where the Khumbu region starts, and Namche seems to do very well out of trekking, mountaineering and selling fake North Face gear brought over the mountains from Tibet. It also has what calls itself the highest bar in the world. Beware, Scotch is lethal at this altitude, and fags are much better. The column of smoke rising from smouldering juniper links heaven and earth and makes a causeway down which the gods or goodness can descend and bestow beneficence on the earth. It must be one of the most evocative smells of the Himalaya, and the croaking, bronchial crows and tinkling yak bells the most evocative sounds. But the clouds were not ready to release us, and a frustrating morning, peering through the thick mist, yielded only tantalizing glimpses of the high mountains. But on the day we set off, the picture changed, and they revealed themselves in their glory. It was an astonishing and strangely moving sight. Rounding the corner to the first viewpoint, the cries of "Oh my God!" seemed a required ejaculation. The furthest we went was to the monastery at Pangboche. At 4,000 meters, it was as high as we got, and slightly less than 12 miles from the summit of Everest itself, but with a decidedly shifty monk who seemed to disapprove severely of cameras. Lemon tea and noodles have never tasted more delicious, and for once they forgot the curried potatoes. But more impressive and more beautiful than Everest was the 4-mile distant peak of Amadablam. If a child was asked to draw a mountain, this surely would be the result. It's a mountain which releases the imagination to soar to its peak. Well, I'm here at the Amadablam guest house, and it's just beyond Tengboche Monastery. Sheer bloody hell getting here. Climbing up the hill to Namche Bazaar, and the altitude is very high. We're about 3,800 meters, and it tells. Had nosebleeds. James is lying down, not very well, with a bad head. Behind me, that's Everest. See it. It's lovely country. It's freezing cold now, and it was roasting hot this morning. Seems to happen. Clouds well up. Very nice people, the Nepalese. And I just can't believe I've actually made it. It's an overwhelming sight. Amadablan, which you can't see at the moment, hiding behind clouds. I think it's the most beautiful mountain I've ever seen. Everest is alright, big lump of stone with snow on it. Some of these peaks are staggeringly beautiful. I'm glad I've done it. Very good. Got a face getting back though. That'll kill me. Well, adventure holiday. Had a lot of adventure. More to come. The Saturday market at Nyamchi sees the yak caravan stream into the town. Having crossed the mountain chain at 6,000 meters over the Lunak Glacier, they arrive, sell their pathetic bundles and return. The poverty of the Tibetans is quite indescribable. On the other side of town, a well-equipped caravan sets out for Everest, lumbering beasts loaded with expensive kit to save the expensive Westerners too much inconvenience. The Gulf seems almost obscene until you remember that without the tourist, poverty would be even more widespread. That was my half-believed excuse. But self-pity is not found here, and filming local lads with a piece of equipment which cost more than they would earn in several years seemed faintly embarrassing. But from them there was only interest, good humour, and a chance to send up the foreigners. The view from the exclusive Everest View Hotel is enjoyed by wealthy Oriental gentlemen who can helicopter in, stay in air-conditioned splendour and helicopter out the next day, having seen the highest peak on Earth from a comfortable distance. It also has proper toilets. Back from the pure mountain air to the delights of Kathmandu. Even from the air, this place reeks of corruption. middle of a huge thunderstorm. It's absolutely pouring down outside. We made it from Lukla yesterday, and we're going home tomorrow. James got mountain sickness, bad heads, a Dinboche, and I got beriberi, which is still lasting 5 days later. We went to Khumbu, which is very high, and then we both got nosebleeds. So, all in all, it's been great. Love the mountains. Hate Kathmandu. Beggars, people with no legs. It's just horrible. Horrible, horrible place. I don't ever want to come here again. Oh, give me mountains any time. Without the beriberi though. Going to a temple tomorrow, I hope, with monkeys. Where they burn dead people and monkeys pinch the bits. I need to laugh. Anyway, here you go.
The temples of Posh Poti Not, correct pronunciation according to the Rough Guide, are part of the holiest Hindu site in Nepal. A sanctuary of the Lord Shiva, they are a mirror to Kathmandu itself, fascinating and repugnant at the same time. Die and be cremated here and be released from the endless cycle of reincarnation. Bathe with your wife in the filth of the Bashmati river and be united for all eternity. Commit sutti on your husband's pyre and have an exquisite little shivalya erected to your memory. Nowadays mostly inhabited by religious exhibitionists.
So neatly last night. I was stopping you.
And in memory of Shiva, Lord of the Animals, endure gangs of vicious, ill-tempered, thieving monkeys. It's a lovely place. so we finish our Himalayan expedition in the squalor of Kathmandu. James?
Yeah.
Do you want to say a word?
No. Get the goat.
Which goat? Oh yes. Sorry, we're not quite finished yet. James wants a goat. There, there's a goat there somewhere. As I was saying, we finish our Himalayan expedition in the squalors of Kathmandu. And if you want to know what squalor means, come here for a holiday. It's shite.
It's not exactly the Himalayas, but it cost £4.95 to get here, and I didn't have to spend a night in Kathmandu. Thank God. It's not quite the same as looking at Everest, but on top of that one, there's a flush lavatory.